Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Could time be running out for TikTok? It's come under attack in the US for fear the social media giant will leak user data to the Chinese government. TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance, which by law is required to hand over data to the Chinese government upon request. TikTok CEO Shou Zi-Chew was hauled in front of Congress on Thursday for a grilling, which lasted 4.5 hours. He faced both Republican and Democrat lawmakers who usually don't agree on anything at all, but on the perceived threat that TikTok poses, they were united.
TikTok collects nearly every data point imaginable, from people's location to what they type and copy, who they talk to, biometric data, and more. Even if they've never been on TikTok, your trackers are embedded in sites across the web. TikTok surveils us all. And the Chinese Communist Party is able to use this as a tool to manipulate America as a whole.
There are more than 150 million Americans who love our platform, and we know we have a responsibility to protect them, which is why I'm making the following commitments to you and to all our users. Number one, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number two, we will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. Number three, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government.
Chris Stokel-Walker is a tech journalist who wrote the book TikTok Boom, China's Dynamite App, and the Superpower Race for Social Media. Now, Chris, 4.5 hours of intense grilling. Now, some tech analysts have even described it as a disaster for TikTok. What were your key takeaways from it?
I think that there were very few, actually. We didn't really learn all that much that we hadn't already known about, and we were kind of waiting, I suppose, for the smoking gun that was going to identify these links that have been talked about between China and TikTok and how the Chinese state is ending up giving all of its data over to TikTok. And we didn't actually see that information in any way. We saw a lot of grandstanding from the politicians asking questions that weren't given the opportunity to be answered. We saw a lot of pre-prepared statements about how this is a huge risk to American livelihoods and data privacy. Basically, I think probably recorded for social media, but there was very little probing of some of the real issues with TikTok. So I don't think that we learned all that much. I think one thing that we possibly did learn was just quite how strongly politicians feel about the sort of need to eradicate TikTok, and why I think that means that we're likely to see a ban enacted shortly.
After all your research, what are your thoughts? Does TikTok actually pose a national security threat to countries?
No, I've been trying for years to find it. It would be the perfect story. It would be brilliant to be able to uncover that and find that smoking gun, to find the intrinsic connection between the Communist Party of China and TikTok employees. And I haven't been able to find it, nor, by the way, have all of my fellow journalists who have been looking at this as well, and a group of cybersecurity researchers that have been poring over TikTok's source code. Now, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, doesn't mean that we aren't missing something obvious here, but we had been hoping for this kind of evidence to be demonstrated in these hearings, because we've seen these successive bans worldwide of TikTok, and we didn't get it, which is quite a surprise, and I think is kind of a concerning development if we are going to start banning companies from existing because we just don't like where they're from. It's actually a curiously Chinese approach to things that kind of runs counter to American values.
Banning TikTok in the US would actually go against freedom of speech laws in the US. How exactly would the US go about with banning this?
Yeah, they would pass a law that would make it illegal to have it on devices. That would then have to be followed up by ISPs, internet service providers, and also mobile networks. You'd also see app stores likely having a compulsion to remove it from their app stores because it was deemed unsafe, and that would be effectively how it would be cut off. What is interesting, as you mentioned, 150 million US users. I was speaking to folks within TikTok yesterday as the hearings were taking place. Their kind of belief is that we might not get to a ban, in large part because they think that the 150 million strong user base will kind of make their voices heard and start shouting quite loudly about this, and they think that politicians might think twice once they realise quite how much of their constituency they are annoying by doing this.
And it's quite a divided reaction also towards TikTok in the US. Now, 2 polls were released this week, shows that most younger Americans, many who actually use it, are against banning TikTok, but it's the older ones who feel that it's a big security threat.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that reflected, I think, in the questioning. Generally kind of younger Congress people who generally represented more tech-willing states, California, New York, places like that, were asking some valid questions, some really interesting ones that we would have been good to get the answer to. But the majority of them, and I think of some of the representatives of Texas who took umbrage with the fact that TikTok's data protection plan in the United States was called Project Texas. They seem to just be kind of basing things on a sort of political point scoring system, and also out of quite a lot of ignorance. I think probably the low light that I saw was well, actually a couple. One congressperson struggled to pronounce the word algorithms repeatedly despite asking multiple questions about the algorithm on TikTok, and another asked whether TikTok could use and access their home Wi-Fi system, both of which are quite concerning levels of, frankly, stupidity around tech.
All right, thank you so much, Chris Stoker-Walker, for this insights into TikTok and its privacy practices. Google has officially entered the AI chatbot game, but it seems its latest tech, Bard, fell short of the mark when compared to OpenAI's ChatGPT. In fact, many think Bard's release is a complete flop.
As of right now, it severely lacks functionality compared to OpenAI's GPT-4. It can't speak any other languages other than US English. It can't code, it has no web integrations. It doesn't have the capability to tell you its sources, and right now it's limited to the United States and the UK on a waitlist basis. Google is so incredibly behind OpenAI right now. I never thought I'd see the day where I would prefer Bing over a Google product.
Okay, that was a bit of a broad overview. Let's see what this new bot can or maybe can't do in action. ChatGPT, and more specifically GPT-4, is quite skilled at programming. Well, what about Bard though?
First thing I wanted to find out is if this thing could write code. So I prompted it to build me a basic to-do app with JavaScript. Here we have Bard on the left side and GPT-4 on the right side. And amazingly, Bard gets the entire job done in just a few seconds. It takes GPT-4 at least 5 times longer to complete the same problem. That's pretty impressive, but going fast isn't very useful if you're dumb. Let's find out if this code actually works. I ran the code in the browser and opened the console and immediately got an error. Basically, it's trying to add an event listener to an element that doesn't exist. I know what the issue is, but I want to see if Bard can fix it. I tell Bard it's not working and paste the error message into the prompt. And it does come up with a solution using a conditional statement that would actually fix the error, but it doesn't make the application work because that element still doesn't exist. I try to nudge it in the right direction, but then it hallucinates and tells me to add an event listener to an input, which wouldn't work. I keep trying to nudge it, but then it fails catastrophically.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Yeah, that doesn't really look good for Google. Although it did say that Bard is still a work in progress. It's hard to imagine a tech giant releasing a product as flawed as this, especially if that company is Google and the product was built on Lambda, a chatbot that had engineers questioning its sentience. Yet now even Bard itself thinks it will be shut down in a couple of years. It made an AI with an existential crisis. How sad is that? Well, many now are questioning if Google is really that behind in the game or just being cautious with its tech. Well, rushed or not, the initial launch of Bard in February was already signaling that this chatbot wasn't going to be the GPT killer.
Imagine being a $1.28 trillion company like Google, whose revenue, over 50% of it, comes from search. And then Satya and all of Microsoft comes along and they're like, we're going to reinvent search. We're going to render it obsolete. We're going to create a chatbot that you can interface with on the internet. And we're going to do it on the back of OpenAI, which grew to 100 million daily active users in like no time. This is absurd. So absurd that Google announced a code red and gathered the squad. They're like, yo, we gotta get out of here. We gotta figure out a way where we can use AI to compete with Microsoft, and we have to dominate Microsoft because they've dominated Microsoft in search for prior years. Then imagine gathering everyone and setting up a meeting to the public. And then when you're giving this meeting, right, this happens.
Let's see how that works with a live demo. We are missing we're missing the phone.
They're giving a live demo, they lose the phone. And you know this woman knows what's at stake here. She knows the stock price is falling. No, like actually, this is when the presentation started. This is when the chatbot got something wrong and the stock price just kept dropping down 9%.
All right, on to what's trending. A TikTok by the daughter of Sofia Coppola has inadvertently gone viral. The running joke now is that Romy Coppola Mars has joined the family dynasty. Now, if you're unfamiliar, here's the lowdown. Romy is the ultimate Hollywood Nepo baby. Her mom, Sofia, is an Oscar-winning filmmaker, and her grandfather, Francis Ford Coppola, made what's considered one of the world's greatest movies, The Godfather. Romy's dad is the frontman of indie band Phoenix, and actor Nicolas Cage is her cousin. But it's a clip about making pasta that's made Romy internet famous. In it, she explains why her parents grounded her.
Because I tried to charter a helicopter from New York to Maryland on my dad's credit card because I wanted to have dinner with my girlfriend. Okay, let's get started. I don't know the difference between a garlic and an onion, and I just had Google images of onions on my phone, and I'm embarrassed. Also, I thought I would do this since I'm already grounded because my parents' biggest rule is like I'm not allowed to have any public social media accounts. Here's why. It's because they don't want me to be a nepotism kid. But TikTok's not going to make me famous, so it doesn't really matter. Is this an onion? Because I feel like this doesn't look like an onion. This looks like the inner workings of. And this, yes, we're on. And this is Ari, my babysitter's boyfriend, because my parents are never home, so these are my replacement parents. I almost put the house down. What do you think about the helicopter fiasco?
Oh, I like fiasco because it's like the feminine form of fiasco.
Oh, it's Women's History Month, so. Okay, well now I'm just waiting for Ari to come back with my ingredients, and I will see you in part 2 where I actually make the pasta.
So she promises to come back with a part 2 of this clip, and some joked online that it'd be the best sequel a Coppola has ever made in reference to her grandpa's The Godfather Part 2, which many say is better than the original film. Some netizens even quipped that we now have a third generation of Coppola directors.
I don't think you understand how much I love Sofia Coppola's daughter basically becoming the greatest Sofia Coppola character. If you watch Sofia Coppola's movies like Somewhere and The Bling Ring, these are movies about privileged girls who are disconnected from reality. And her movies are often very empathetic but also critical of this generation. But then for Sofia Coppola's daughter to come out and be the worst kind of Nepo baby, but yet the most joyous and funny and petty version, I mean, it's poetry. And to do it with a TikTok video that really should make her family, the creators of movies like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now and Lost in Translation, I mean, they should really be proud that their kin is figuring out how to rule TikTok.
And that's a fiasco the internet will be talking about for a little bit. And that's our show. Find us on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.